For me, there are many things in the world, in our communities, in our organizations that are crumbling. The old method of education is crumbling. We see a lot of rubble in between. People who are saying the old techniques for learning, which is downloading from one or few individuals who are regarded as fountains of knowledge. The extreme bit is where there isn't anybody with worthwhile experience and knowledge to share, when knowledge seems to be sitting everywhere. In between is what I may refer to as the rubble. This is the fact that we all have something to offer to one another, to our organizations, and to society. And at the same time, all the time, we all have something to learn. When we learn to combine the two neatly, that's when we will have begun to mold the rubble into the future. Our way of continuous learning doesn't just depend on a few clever, gifted individuals. All of us are producers of experience, knowledge, and wisdom. When we combine the two and call ourselves continuous learners, that for me is shifting from just merely dealing with rubble, but the future. We find that in industry too, when industry is simply serving the needs of the shareholders. On the other end, we are dealing with a possibility that no, we shouldn't care about the shareholders. In between is the rubble. How can we balance entrepreneurship and meeting the needs of society, current and future needs, while taking care of our natural environment? A colleague of mine who has served on the advisory board of oikos actually introduced me to the organization. And we, as Future Considerations, an organization to which Mark Wade, who invited me and connected me to the organizers of this conference, or the FutureLab, and he's a member of our organization, he mentioned to me, he said, these are the future leaders of our world. And every opportunity we get to try and support them in truly becoming the leaders of our world, our organization, and our communities, we must seize that opportunity. And when I began to read about what you have done, what you are seeking to do, I just couldn't resist being here. I had to be here.
Well, that's
Education, particularly formal education, is the seed bed in which we plant, we nurture, and graduate our future leaders. And if we are not intentional about the quality, purpose, content of education now, we shouldn't cry when the future goes the way we didn't intend it to be. So what I find important about the FutureLab 2015, focusing on improving our education, is that we are preparing that soil in which that seed, the future leader, is going to germinate, to grow and blossom. It's everything we need to do. That's the primary job we all have if we want to invent a different future. We cannot be looking for a different future if we are not investing in the way young people, young men and women who are definitely going to be the future of our society, of our organizations, are being groomed, trained, developed. How do we overcome fear? For me, the number one requirement is for us to wake up to the reality that competition is not the main lifeblood as we have been taught all along. Competition is valuable at a certain stage, but when we want to do something really clever, really important, really cutting edge, the principle is not competition. The principle is collaboration. When you and I, many other people, our teachers, our colleagues, different sectors, learn to come together and tap into each other's capacities, experiences, knowledge, and wisdom, then we begin to operate at the highest potential we have ever seen. Therefore, as I said earlier on, the big deal is to throw out the wrong notion that the lifeblood of creativity and innovation is competition. It is collaboration. It is co-creation. And I dare say, when we are thinking of crafting a new future, suspending fear does not mean that we stop experiencing fear. It is being aware that we have fear and making alternative choices anyway. Fear is part of who we are as humans, and quite often it helps us to survive. But once we completely lend ourselves to fear, what does it do? It blocks our capacity to think in a creative way. One, do not be discouraged by bureaucracy. The people who are running a superintending bureaucracy, they think they mean well. And truly inside themselves, they mean well, except that they may not be open to the newness with which you are thinking as young people. Young people quite often have a supple, exciting, expansive mind. And for me, that is a resource rather than a threat. And if we can tap into that, we will, in a quicker, faster way, begin to find solutions to some of the challenges of our time. Follow your heart. Young persons, with their open-mindedness, with their open-heartedness, with their open will, they are more likely than the older ones among us to pick that newness before it happens, long before it decodes itself, and they dance with that to create solutions to our challenges. The big deal for young people is not to be discouraged by the current litany, by the current narrative. This is their world. This is your world. Play into it. And if needs be, break with the ranks. There are times when the system is not opening up. Don't be scared of starting something new, completely. Years later, we will look up to you and say, we are happy they had the courage to break ranks and to start something different. For me, as an individual working with a number of collaborators in different parts of the world, I have dedicated the next 2-3 years of my life transforming education on the African continent. I think we need to reduce the cost of education so that everybody who really wants to be educated must be educated. Number two, I will dedicate the next 2-3 years of the next few years of my life to ensuring that that form of education isn't just about intellectual development. It is also about solving the challenges, seizing the opportunities of our time. The next 2 to 3 years for me are about helping thousands, if not millions, of African young people become entrepreneurs. Because in a continent where there are not enough jobs, it's useless to train people as if they are jobs in which they are going to slot themselves in. And there is so much talent on the African continent we are wasting by training young people as if they are going to work for already existing jobs. It is helping them to become the entrepreneurs that they truly are.